Brilliant. So I'm really excited today. This is a brand new idea that appeared in a couple of ways, actually. I think maybe even as fresh as last week. So I've been doing interviews and stuff for the coaching school. And then somebody put on one of those posts, genius, in my inbox. And I thought, God, that's a good name for a new series of interviews if ever I come across one. I wonder if I can find some geniuses. And then you appeared.
Well, when I saw that, I thought, how do I decline an invitation to be on one of those?
Yeah, that's so kind. So yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I was going to say I'll let you introduce yourself, but I thought actually what I might do first, Dominic, if it's okay, is I want to read the bit of your post where, and Dominic and I have known each other for, well, probably quite a long while at a distance, I would say, but we've known of each other for quite a while. And I'm always fascinated when I read your posts, and I always have been, even when I've been veering off in other directions and decrying that you were nonsense and all that kind of stuff that we end up doing. So I wanted to read this post because I think it's just such an awesome launching point. And then I just want to hear you talk, really, because that's what these talks are about. So here we go. But I'm just going to share it with everybody for the benefit of the recording. So this was in a coaching from a 3 principles understanding group. And you wrote this, and I just love it. It's fascinating how we know we can trust our grounding as we are coaching from a 3P understanding. I'm surprised that more folks aren't curious to explore creating a thriving coaching practice from a 3P understanding. Our experience has shown us that something greater than our own doing is creating the miracles in our sessions with clients. Is our 3P grounding limited to creating miracles only in our coaching sessions, but not in building our business? How does that make any sense? If we're not seeing miracles in our business building, then we must realize we're operating from a misunderstanding. I love that line. It makes no sense that building a coaching business takes effort, while conducting a miraculous coaching session is effortless. Creating business miracles takes discipline and consistent practices, while creating miracles for clients just happens from being grounded. Seriously? Of course, building our coaching business from a 3P understanding will look and feel different than what all the coaching experts say. So what? It doesn't seem to bother us that our actual coaching looks and feels different than what the experts say. It doesn't seem to bother anyone that they aren't following a coaching process and techniques and discipline consistency in their sessions. Why would we start following what anyone says about how to build our business? Others are only valuable to the extent they point us to where all creation comes from, formless. How creation happens, from formless to form, and most of all, remind us of who we really are, a creator. A creator does not need to know how to create. They don't go looking for best practices or learning from other creators. That's a waste of time. When they realize who they are, they simply be that. They don't ask how to be what they already are. Seriously, mate, that is one of the best posts I think I've ever read in the history of ever.
Wow, that's a very high compliment.
It is. I'm just setting you up here.
Yeah.
But all joking aside, there's a whole course, there's a whole book, there's a whole lifetime of your experience to share in that. So just pick a start point for me, if you would, and just start unfolding what you mean by all of that for everyone.
Yeah. It kind of, I think the start point that's important is when I'm speaking about creating and you're a creator, I'm referring to all that you are, to all that you are, distinguished from who you think you are. So there's a bit of a distinction in that, right? Because the who you think you are, who we think we are, is a limitation of who we really are. And That's not a criticism. It's understanding that that will forever be so. So we'll be here for 100 years, and for 100 years we will be but a limitation of all that we are. That's not a big problem. It's just good to know. But within that lies unimaginable potential and possibility and all of that, right? Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm just scribbling some things down because there's words that really stick out to me as you're speaking there. But go on, say more, unravel more.
Yeah, well, so I mean, I think the interest here becomes in this conversation, because it could be in any conversation, right? But the interest in this conversation becomes about a coaching business and creating a coaching business, because I think the audience will be a number of coaches. And the coaches that really are the audience for this are coaches who have seen something already, have been moved by something, have had an insight into something, into their true nature, into who they really are. And because in the group where that post was, it's coaching from a 3 principles understanding. And those coaches, all of us are in the realization that we can be with another person, and given our understanding of who we all are, in the presence and in that conversation, all kinds of incredible things can happen. Most of us have realized that there's something distinct about coaching in that way, versus being provided with models or formulas, canned questions, like, certain ways of coaching. And what happens is in the way that we're coaching, we're opening up to unexpected, incredible, miraculous things to go on in those sessions. So we're familiar with this idea of, miracles, creating breakthroughs. Not quite logical explanation of how you got from A to B, how the client, came in with one thing and left with an entirely different thing that was 10 times bigger than what they thought they were going to get. So this is regularly happening for us. And so then the thing is, that people will then coaches will look and they'll say, so I want a coaching business because I want to do a lot of this. And then they go off looking not in that direction, which is, fascinating to me. So then it's fascinating to me. So then they'll go look in a different way. It's like, okay, so how do you build a coaching business? And what do the experts say? And what's the evidence for the process that I should be using? And now they're kind of, in a way, you could say they're looking for best practice, and they're looking for creating a formula that's going to be consistent, that's going to deliver for me the kind of a business and build a business. So it's funny, like, so then they're going to build a business in a very logical, predictable, controlled way. And yet they know that something more is possible than that. And so that's just fascinating to me that, hey, did you ever notice?
Yeah.
Did you ever notice this? Because you're a miracle worker over here. And then you kind of shut that down. You're done your coaching session. And now you come out and go, damn, now what about this coaching business? How do you build this coaching business? And
That's
so I
amazing,
think that's
isn't
funny.
I know. I loved how you kind of made that distinction so clear, and I think that's one of the things I was really hoping would come out of this call, was like, it's so obvious when you look at it like that, isn't it? And it's so apparent that as you say, like these incredible insights or miracles or ideas that could create goodness knows what come out of the conversation, and then it's like, right, and now it's time to follow Formula 365. Have I done my 9 posts for today? Isn't that just the bizarrest thing when you look at it? It really is. Yeah,
Right.
that's amazing.
Innocent.
Yeah, completely.
I just got to get back to business now. I got to get back to business. I was a miracle worker, and now I got to get back to business.
Yeah, that's so true, isn't it? Yeah, no, totally. I was a master wizard or witch or whatever, and now I've just got to check in and go and clean the floor, because obviously that's the way to do it. I love that. What do you think is I mean, in a sense, you could say it's misunderstanding, but isn't it interesting that it's so prevalent in certain contexts? So isn't it intriguing that, business is, even as you say, even people who really get the miraculous nature of what the principles is pointing to, and what many other things, we just happen to pick that one. You could pick non-duality, or any thingy of miracles, any of it, couldn't you? And you'd all be pointing roughly in the same sort of way. So what do you think is it about business that makes it seem like it ought to be an exception?
Yeah. Well, we get, let's say we get stuck on all kinds of subjects. It isn't just business, but I guess many of us gather, and then, that's a particular topic where there's a lot of, momentum of thinking that's a certain way, right? But, you'll find people who are like stuck in relationship area, like it's just the relationship isn't work, can't find relationship, but right, and then they're on dating apps, and then they're doing the thing they're doing and hate the dating app, but do right, like, so there's places like subjects that we, for various reason, kind of have it's conditioned thinking. It's like have picked up these beliefs and these thoughts, and they're unexamined, and we just kind of, the world is that way. Business is one it's on the news. It's on, there are books. Look at how many books you could get about business, and they're all about usually the form. Like, so this person has built a business, and what they describe is the form. And so they're kind of tracing back and telling you how that happened. With the way that it happened. And it's just that, like, yeah, that was a series of miracles potentially, but they're only giving you these forms, which then, we kind of go in to say, so then if I replicate this, and if I can be consistent with it, so then that will give me the same outcome. And it's, that again, it's kind of predictable. A lot of businesses try to work that way as well, right? Is here's the predictable formulas to make things work. But yeah, that's distinct from creation. I guess that's the important part.
It's funny when you were saying it occurs in different situations. One of the places I always see it here each year is the winners of the football Premiership Championship. And they get very excited, and they've won. And if it's a team that hasn't done that well in the past, then it must be down to the chairman or the new trainer or the manager or something. It's got to be attributable to something. So they get very excited and buy them all a new car and whatever. And of course, next season, what happens? They go straight down the toilet, because they're then believing it's all the stuff that they thought.
Right.
So they're then trying to do that from a place of kind of like tension and aggravation, and wonder why they can't just get on the field and play, which is really all that was happening before. So I love how you pointed that out. Yeah. I was thinking just before the call as well, I was kind of thinking of what, like, the counter arguments that must come up for people, because when you describe it in this genius way, which I knew you would, hence the point of this call, really. I was trying to think of, well, what's the counter arguments, and things like, so are you saying that no one should learn from someone else? So can you kind of spin it round and
Yeah.
argue it backwards?
Yeah. Well, you gotta, like, all I have to do is if I look into my own business and there, I'm now, what am I, like 12, 13 years out in self-employed as a coach, a thriving coaching practice. But then I look and I'll see things like, I have all kinds of things today, structure, process. It's awesome. It's amazing, but it's so surprising to me as well because it's sort of not my thing. Right? However, yeah, if I meet with a client and need to send them something later, like a proposal or whatever, I don't have to start from scratch. And I remember when I started, I used to think, oh my God, that's a lot of stuff. Like, you need invoices, you need a whole proposal thing, you need all these things. I'm like, this isn't my thing. Like, I don't want to spend all this time doing these things. So, but here I am now with all these things that are there. An accounting system that works a particular way, like the structures, and it's amazing. They provide a freedom, right? But when I look at it, I guess two things is the more and more of that happened, the more it was kind of like, I still look at my business and kind of go, did all this? like this stuff is wonderful. Who did this? Right? It's so easy to operate in my business because this stuff is in place. And what I find, if I get curious about any particular aspects, is that there's a story. Like, there's this story for how that thing happened, right? Like, as simple, today is so common. You and I needed to schedule this meeting. Now, this is common today. No one would think it's a big deal. Send you a link. You sent me a link. Boom, right? We schedule. But when I had that, like that, I put into my business years ago, what happened? There was a client that I had where there was some coach training. It was 42 vice presidents in a bank that included 4 individual coaching sessions to follow. Now, I went, like, very excited, like, how this even happened was, my typical creation thing. It gets attracted. It's not something I go after, but there it is. It comes. Yeah. But now it shows up. I love it. This is amazing. And boom, this contrast in there that says 42 times 4, that's 168, I think, or
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay. That's a lot of 1-hour sessions. These are executives, VPs with a bank. Oh my gosh, they've got like executive assistants. How does this even happen? Like, what's going to happen here in terms of emails and all of that? I'm going to be, and so from this place is birthed. This is what I've noticed it starts to happen, is that there is an energetic birthing, a desire for something is born. Yeah. Consider it energy. An energy desire for something is born. In the same instant, and I can say more about this, but in the same instant as the desire is born, its solution is born with it. There is no separation between the problem with the solution. It is born at the same time. And and the way I'll distinguish this is that in my moment of clarity of what it is I do not want, this unwanted thing, which by the way was not the business, it's not about the business. It was about this ugly administrative time suck thing that is not value added, that I don't enjoy doing. And so at the moment of the birthing of this unwanted thing is its solution at the same time. But my focus and attention is on the unwanted thing. I'm unable to see. And so eventually in that is what came years ago, came this, sudden, like, then some, there's got to be someone who solved this, and some internet searching and some stuff, and then things that didn't work, like Calendly in those days would not meet my needs. I was using Apple and stuff and wasn't going to work. So the solutions I saw that wouldn't work, and then one that did, not the same one I use today, but it worked then, right? And so there it is. The solution is eventually, the solution is birthed, right? It's birthed in, problem solved, all of that. But there's something within that story which describes how creation happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that. The thing that was sort of going through my mind when you were talking right at the end there, when you were talking about the new situation and then the solution to the issue that the situation brings being brought about at the same time. I've never thought of it like that at all. That is, I hate to say it again, but that's genius, mate. It completely is, because I started to think automatically of examples where that had been true, even with like money situations where it's like, wow, could really do with, whatever, some funds for this. And at the point that is birthed, as you said, like the energy moves in that direction, the money also appears. Now it might appear into my view a bit later on,
Later, yes.
I might do various amounts of worrying or anxiety,
right,
whatever in the meantime, because I'm working in real time.
Yes.
The humans stuck with that, aren't they? As far as I can tell, we think time's real and hard and fast, and that's the scale things should work on. Strikes me nature isn't very interested in that at all. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a warm sunny day, like it's beautiful here today, and so like the insects are out and whatever, it'll be freezing cold overnight, they'll all be dead, unlucky. But they're not bothered. They're not looking out going, what date is it? Wait, am I due yet? Should I be buzzing just yet? Sun shines, buzz, that's it. Looks simple. So I loved that. I loved how you described that. That really resonates for me massively. That's amazing.
And I like what you said about how it appears today, it's complete today, the creation is done today. And that doesn't mean that you will perceive it today. Because
that's so exciting, isn't it? Sorry,
right.
I'm exploding with excitement. Sorry, carry on.
Because in this moment, you cannot in this moment be focused on this problem and perceive its solution at the same time. It's not possible. So, but it's interesting to note that I cannot perceive a problem where the solution is not in the same moment created. And
hang on, say that again. That's got to go in deeper. Say it again. I cannot.
Yeah, and I'll say it. You cannot perceive a problem. You cannot experience a problem that the solution to it is not now also in that moment. You cannot. You cannot think of anything. You cannot think of, I would like a thriving coaching practice that has these components. You cannot conceive of that the path to it is not also created instantly in that moment. that total path, all involved, every step of the way. You cannot do it.
That's amazing. It's so, that's just fascinating because it's so obviously true. And yet I have no logical, like my brain's trying to go, so how does that work then?
Now, I'm a real geek when it comes to this stuff, like a technical, very lot, right?
I can feel that. I can feel like you've logicked it out, actually.
Yeah. So let's make this logical. I'm for some reason, and I don't know where that passion comes from, but an ability and a passion. I have such a passion to articulate it, to have it be compelling, to have it be, because there's, I could say it like this, and I'll probably take it back, but it's like, there's no magic going on here. This is, God is not being illogical. It is all logical. It appears as magic because my understanding is not there.
Yes. I see that. Go on. Unfold it.
So here's what I mean by this is like, this will have to go back to who I really am. Who are you really? And it's to say, well, it's me, it's this physical body or my psychology. But anyway, we know in 3P it's not that. But really to know it is like this energy that you are, and people go, okay, well, I guess I got to believe that or something. Well, not really. Just calm down for a minute and notice your breathing, right? So if you notice your breathing and then you kind of notice that you're not doing that, so then you'd have to be curious about, like, something's breathing, right? If I cut my finger and the fact that my finger heals, I didn't do it. I wasn't doing that, right? Now we're splitting ourselves up here, but I mean the me that's kind of finitely here feeling all these things. But something's going on. I'm eating food or drinking, and the cells of my body are being, given nutrition and stuff. So there's an energy moving around, and I'm not doing any of that stuff. So I bring this up because whatever that is, and I'm indivisible from it. In other words, I couldn't get, if I ran out the door, I can't get away from it. It's like, okay, I get it now. I'm here breathing, but let me jump over there and get out of it. No, you couldn't get out of it if you tried. It's like indivisible. It's indivisible from who you are. But see, so the me that I perceive and think ends somewhere. It just depends where. I say, well, it ends at the end of, right? So it ends somewhere, but that I could tell is coming from somewhere more, right? Well, it's energy, and energy is now not divisible from anything. Sydney Banks described it as the energy of all things, that which some call God. So he said there is an energy of all things. It's a formless energy, the essence of all things. That's the principle he said is mind. And what he's and it's an infinite intelligence. Well, of course it is. We just said it breathes me and it's cutting, that. So now it's indivisible from all things. Same energy that has basically expressed into galaxies, solar systems. Right. So this is very like you look at the intelligence of those manifestations, of those expressions. There's a lot of intelligence there. All right. So here you are. Sydney Banks said, who you are is a microscopic aspect of that. So it's like this little bit of this energy of all things, microscopic aspect of that. So you share in its nature. There's no division. It's all the same thing. Just it's an aspect of all of that. So now that is an infinite intelligence. And here, this little speck has a problem. Have a problem, or desire. Life has evoked a desire for, there's this big problem and I need a solution, or there's a desire coming that I would love to have a business where I could be working with, I could be doing the thing I love and what I'm passionate about, and But how's that supposed to work? Because where would the money come from? And all these clients that come, like, where are they? And all of that. And now notice how this is way too complicated for the finite spec. It's too complicated for this focused finite perspective. And meanwhile, indivisible from an infinite intelligence. And here's the thing that I laugh about. Do you really believe that you just posed a problem that infinite intelligence cannot answer, has not already answered? Is that what you believe? You believe you posed a problem?
I love that, because I can think of so many examples where I really did think that was true. So yeah, now I feel a bit silly about it when you say it like that. Yeah.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah. I'm
That's
sure I
why
can
I
come up with
said-
something that the whole universe couldn't solve.
The whole universe couldn't do it. Oh, sure. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh yeah, you want a coaching business and it would have, 20 clients and stuff like that. And right now you only have 3. Oh, you're right. That is such an impossible problem. You're right. Yeah, that's so hard. Oh yeah, and furthermore, and you don't know a lot of people. Yeah, you're right. This really big problem. And meanwhile, you get an infinite intelligence kind of going, hello. I've created solar systems. They were a little more complicated than your coaching business. I know an intelligence that knows all the steps, every direction, where they come from, how you will meet them, what timing it'll happen with, how the whole thing will unfold. It's like, it's just known, right? From there to there, it's just known, all of it.
Yeah. That's incredible. And I love the humor and the lightness, and yet the directness you bring to that. It's like, oh yeah. Oh.
Like, get over yourself.
How do I do that?
Well, this is the cool thing too, and Sid brought something in his pointing where he said, your wisdom is only in a positive feeling. Your wisdom's only in a positive feeling. So there's something about the feeling that would say that my thinking is open and harmonizing and receiving in harmony with this infinite intelligence. I cannot think in a way that is in harmony with that intelligence. So I cannot think about my coaching business in a way that flows that intelligence and not feel good. Cannot think about my coaching business the way God thinks about my coaching business and not feel hopeful, optimistic, enthusiastic, joyful about it. Because with God, it is sure. In the thinking that God has, every single step is sure and certain and moves to full manifestation. No thought of God. Oh, this is harder than I thought. You don't get God going, oh, yeah, shit, I wasn't thinking about Dave's coaching business. I thought I knew how to do coaching businesses, but Dave poses a real problem.
So funny, isn't it?
It's just, and so when you are in more harmony, it feels good. When you go off and you kind of go, yeah, but I know that other people do this in an easy way, but they have different connections. I don't have connections. It's going to be harder for me. Whose thought was that?
Yeah.
Was that the thought of God?
Yeah.
Or was that a little mind?
Yeah, that's right.
Who
Yeah.
thought that thought? And you can tell by the way you feel whose thought that was.
Yeah.
Was that from a finite perspective? Or was that more in harmony with infinite intelligence? The way you feel will tell you what that is.
I love that. I mean, for me, this whole genius in your inbox is just exactly what you're describing there. It was just such funny enough, I've wanted to do something like this in the past. It's an idea that's popped up a number of times. And then it was like, so how would I do that? Who would I talk to?
Oh yeah.
all of that. How can I figure it out? And I can't remember the last time I had that. And then it was Rose actually who put the title, and I thought that's a brilliant title. And then so I thought I'm going to use that at some point. I wrote it down. Then a couple of days later, you jumped in on that post, and I was like, oh my God, that's it. And then Jill actually posted something. I went, oh, I need to talk to Jill, because I've had conversations with Jill before about her whole SEO past, which is living, example of exactly this. And I remember from pre trying to create a coaching business, when I was back in business, I was the CEO, and I didn't have any track record. I didn't have anything I could draw on. So it just became obvious to do things that were like a really good idea. Like, we wanted to build an e-commerce facility. We had no idea how to build an e-commerce facility. And then one day I thought, First Direct had just moved into e-banking from phone banking. It just gone into it. I thought, I really like their website. And then somehow got connected with a web designer and said, well, could you do something a bit like that, but for us, because it's clean, it's simple, it's whatever. And the company's still, I've not worked there since 2009, but the company's still using exactly the same frame.
Wow.
Yeah, it's and we got our customer service idea and training again from First Direct. So First Direct's philosophy was ultimately brilliant systems, really nice people.
Oh wow.
That's
That's inspiring.
Yeah, they built incredible systems, and then put really nice chatty people on the phone who would enjoy talking to other people. Think how many environments you come across in customer service where the customer service people don't like people.
Yeah.
So it is the same. And then I kind of drift. So go on, carry on.
You see, and in your story, notice how you harmonized with that idea. You come across all kinds of stuff. There was probably articles on websites and best thing of website, or what the process is, and how you have to get, outsourced people, like all this stuff. You kind of came across those, but nothing resonated. Then you saw this website, which went ping, right?
Yeah.
So now notice, though, the ping, which is resonating. When you say resonating, you're talking about two things in a way.
Yeah.
So something out here in its vibration, activating, harmonizing within me, vibration. I recognize that thing.
Yeah.
It's harmonizing that thing. You think you saw it out there. It activated something true in you. And then, by the way, connected and led to, and with someone who could build, and that someone who could build harmonized with you, easy to work with, understood what your vision was, all of that stuff. So notice all this harmony, everything's harmonized. And how's a little mind supposed to connect all this stuff and find these matches? Can't.
Just never. Like I wouldn't.
Can't do it.
No, you don't.
Too many moving parts, too many variables. You can't do it. So give up.
I was going to say, I can just about put a sock on in the morning. That's about the extent of it, if I'm lucky. Yeah, that's so beautiful, isn't it? I love that. And I love, like you said, I think you said you feel sort of slightly geeky about this, but I love the kind of depth of sort of exploration and clarity you've got, that the kind of little mind also goes, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? So it's not kind of left
Yes.
befuddled going, yeah, but how would I do that? How
Right.
because I see that trips people as well still. It's like, yeah, I kind of get it, but I need to pay my gas bill. So,
Yes. Absolutely. This is where I'm not big on saying things like, trust it, Dave, trust it. There's you need faith. You need faith, right? Like, I get the sentiment of it.
Yeah.
But what I've learned is, when I know something, I don't have to trust or have faith.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Once I know something, I don't have to believe in it either.
Yeah.
Like, so I can, so this is why, and potentially where in many of these communities everywhere, where what we know is it's just about understanding. It's about the understanding. Well, yeah, the understanding to the state of knowing it. Knowing it. And when you know it, now you don't have to have faith, you don't have to trust, because that is bigger than faith and trust and all of those things. It's
so do you see, like, kind of like fast forwarding to now, do you when you get a really cool idea or something, like, I know what I'd really love to do, you kind of recognize that vibration is, universe or God vibrating you, bringing this idea? And am I reading what you're saying correctly, that at the point of iteration of the idea, the solution to the idea or the circumstance would also be there, and that may take what we call linear time in order to be revealed or for you to have as experience? Is that it?
Yes. Yes. And it's even, it's so at the same time, even before an articulation or speaking of it, because even that takes a thought to be able to express it. It is literally together, like one side of the coin and the other, instantly. It is so instant. It's faster than, like, you cannot put an equation into a calculator. You can't say 22 times 36 without an instant answer. But there is a time lag, actually, by the time you're doing
I get what you're saying.
This is instant. It's instant. You cannot conceive of. So let's say it. Let me get to that in a real explanation. If you take a massive oak tree, all of the intelligence, every bit of it, for all of that, is contained in the seed. So the seed contains the intelligence and the direction of its full manifestation. And it expresses out from there. And always it expresses toward a thriving under these conditions. So certain, whatever conditions it's in, it will thrive under these conditions. If you see a tree next to a fence, and it will start to grow through a fence and all that, it will thrive under these conditions, right? So unless interfered with, we're able to do that. By the way, we're able to. So you said, so you're saying I can think of the idea, and in the moment I speak it, the answer is there, yes, and then it'll take time. The only reason it takes time is because of my resistance to this idea with opposing thought.
Yeah. So the follow on from that, then, in a sense, is that the only work to do is the removal of apparent resistance.
Let's say that let's say that you can see what a geek I am. Like,
Yeah, no, I'm
just
loving
like,
it. I'm loving it.
yeah.
I hope you've got nothing else in your diary today. This is it. I'm made.
Let's say that.
Just settling in for the evening.
Yeah. From the point of conceiving the idea to its full manifestation,
yeah,
what's true is that what will happen is all resistance will fall away. That's the only difference in that. For me to experience its full manifestation is a dropping of thoughts in opposition. By the way, or it will express through my beliefs. This is the other thing. That you have the right to your beliefs.
Yeah.
And this infinite intelligence will not knock them away as if you have no right to them. Let me explain it like this. So you're so funny. So Dave, if it takes time to build a coaching business and some hard work and sacrifice, then it will. So do you see? It's like you conceive of the idea, but it can't just happen, right? It can't just happen. It's going to take some time, and it's not that easy because you have to sort of sacrifice in other areas of your life. So all belief, which you can keep, and it will express around your belief.
Wow. So yeah, shit. So the image I've got in my mind is the front of our house, which is, yeah, I've got my background blurred because the room's a mess. Out there, basically, we've got the most beautiful magnolia tree. I mean, it's glorious, and it's big in our front garden, and we've got a front wall, and the front wall's doing its best to kind of hold up, but the magnolia tree is having its way with it, whatever, it's like, and so far the front wall's like cracked, and we've been trying for a few years to find somebody who won't kill the tree but can provide some kind of structure, because the tree, I mean, quite frankly, tree, brick wall, I'm tree every day of the week. So, but it just really reminded me of that in a way, my beliefs or views of how it works are like the brick wall. But when the intention's set and the tree's going to grow, it's going to come one way or the other.
It's going to go.
Yeah.
It's going to go.
The tree's going to have its way one way or the other. That's amazing.
And what that shows, which is an interesting bit, is so there's two things in that equation. There is a desire, and then there is resistance. Yeah. All resistance is thought. For you and I, all resistance is thought. That's it. Yeah. I cannot experience anything I do not think. I cannot experience anything I do not think. And my resistance to anything is what prevents my experience of it. It is my resistance to that thing. And resistance is anything that slows it, right? That's that, like, so, well, sure, you could have $1 million, but like not like now. And I'm really sure of that. And that insistence, right, is kind of hard to get out of the way, and it softens a little bit if you tell me it will take a certain amount of time, but don't tell me it'll take 2 days. I might believe, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Everything is in my mind, but I will not, right? Whereas God says, here's the creator. God says, let there be light, and there is light.
Yeah.
There is no resistance between a thought of God and its complete full manifestation. Not one bit of resistance, because God does not think against itself. God does not oppose itself with thought. God is never opposing itself. We do a good job of it.
It's just hilarious, isn't it? I just find it funny.
Isn't it?
It's just so
It
fun. Yeah,
really
it
is.
is. I knew this would just be the best time ever. Like I'd never, like when you wrote that reply, I was like, I love the words, but wherever that's coming from, that's what I want to talk about for the, like that's the, the words are great. It was really interesting and in a way disruptive and still beautiful and everything. But it was like, it's what he's pointing at, like, and it's
Yeah.
so true, isn't it? I mean, I'm sitting here laughing, going, well, yeah, I'd love £1 million coaching business. But from like where I'm sitting right now, it's like, I have no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what you were saying before.
Yeah.
So then the work is, but be gentle about it, right? Like it's just be gentle about it. Like, is that what's going to happen between here and there is
Yeah.
stuff's going to drop off. Like some of that stuff's going to drop off and you're going to allow in
Yeah.
the pieces that create. Now, here to sort of on that, I'll say something else. And this is an example we've heard of. When the desire is strong enough, your beliefs do not matter.
Yeah, that's so true.
Desire is strong enough, your beliefs do not matter.
Yeah. It's interesting actually, because the word I see around at the moment used a lot is commitment. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of get what you mean, but I think sometimes commitment is what the little mind would like to think it can utilize. Because, if you're a parent and you see your kid moving towards the edge of the road, you don't have to generate any commitment to go and grab them.
That's great.
You
That's
just
great.
you're just like, I'm there. Like I swear,
And you're there.
Yeah,
You're there
literally,
like
yeah,
faster than
yeah,
anything you've ever done before.
faster than a slightly portly gentleman of 56. Exactly. So still, it's just like bang, I'm
It's
on it.
fast.
Like, even though my kids are 17 and 19, I still got like sixth sense for where they are and what they're doing, and I'd be there in a heartbeat. Less.
Now, that example, that's a very good example, by the way. You can get very extreme in the stories that we've all heard. Mother lifts a car off the child.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So see, and this is where I say, people talk about magic, but mother lifts the car off the child. There was no magic involved. There were no laws that were broken. There are no laws that are broken. So what happens is that is a woman is connected to an infinite intelligence. In the moment of that, in the moment of such a horrific thing, what is presenced is the strongest evoking of the desire, right, of that. That desire is so strong, it knocks out all personal thought. There's only desire. There's no personal thought. That is a desire that is beyond her, right? There's no thought. Now, what you get is an infinite intelligence with calculations, mathematical calculations about where each foot is pressed and how the shoulder is tilted and how your arms go. This, you cannot think this in your mind. You couldn't, the little mind could not do it. These calculations are right there. There's no magic involved. And in a certain leverage, that car is lifted, that baby comes out and the car goes back down, and that can never be repeated because the little mind will come right back.
That's every powerlifter's dream, isn't it? To try and replicate that in their training in the gym.
Exactly. But they've got in their mind what they can do and what they can't do, and how many years it takes before they can get to the state of being able to lift it, and what and nutrition required. And so they've got a lot of other things they know. They're experts.
Yeah, that's right.
So they have a lot of stuff that they know that it has to follow, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But having said that, though, we do not want that. What happened to the mother? There is more satisfaction in the power lifter. Because I'll say it like this. I've often said it like this. I've said, there's something. Well, look, you're an infinite intelligence. You're God. You're like the creator of all that is. What the hell are you doing here? Why are you here? Like, what is this manifestation into this physical body? Like, why are they interested in this? What's the focus over here? Right? So the manifested aspect of all that is you. For 100 years, by the way, never to be repeated again, because this is a unique perspective, will never be repeated again, right? So now it's sort of like, what's that all about? What are you doing here? Oh, well, I'm a creator. I'm here to create. Okay, cool. And I want to create as God. Really? Yeah, yeah. So I want to close my eyes and kind of go, I want a thriving coaching practice. And then I open my eyes. I glance over at my calendar and I go, holy shit, it's like full of meetings. Like, look at this. These are all paying clients. This is amazing how this stuff works, right? So give me a second, because this house is I wouldn't mind a bigger house, like a different house. So I close my eyes and open it up, and it's like, whoa, this is it. This is the house. Okay, I really like this. Want a car because there's this car I really like. Close my eyes, open it up again. It's out on my driveway. Sounds like fun. Sounds like a lot of fun. And just give that not too long. Just give it a little while. Life won't be worth living. Let's keep that up. Life will not be worth living.
Yeah.
It's not why you're here. You're not here for these manifestations. You're not here because you wanted the manifestations. You are a creator. You came to create. You did not come for the creations. And it is in the creating that you come alive.
That's amazing.
In the creating that you be who you are.
That's genius. That's what that is. Thank you.
Beautiful conversation. I appreciate you asking